The colony of Arinder, 7, was a harsh place, its surface dominated by jagged cliffs and choking dust storms that shimmered under the twin suns. The alien refugees who had arrived decades earlier were a scattered, fragile population, struggling to survive amid hostile terrain and human settlers who viewed them with suspicion. Among them were 2 sisters, Sela, the elder, strong and determined, and Nira, the younger, fragile and perpetually hungry. Nira's cries echoed through the cramped shelters of the refugee enclave. She had not eaten in days, her alien physiology unable to process the sparse rations provided by human aid drops. Sela knelt beside her sister, pressing a cold, delicate hand against Nira's forehead. The younger one's violet eyes brimmed with tears, her breath shallow and trembling. "I'm sorry," Sela whispered. "I don't know how to fix this." The humans who controlled the colony were not cruel, but survival demanded harsh choices. Work assignments were rationed, and only those who contributed could receive full sustenance. The sisters, lacking the strength to compete with adult workers or the adaptability to manipulate human technology, were on the verge of starvation. That night, as the twin suns dipped below the horizon, casting jagged shadows across the refugee camp, Sela made a decision. It was not one of hope, it was one of necessity. She would offer herself to the humans. In the colony, offering oneself was a euphemism for servitude, often exploitation, but it guaranteed food, shelter, and protection for the dependent, Nira. Sela approached the human administrators the next morning. Her voice was steady, her alien form cloaked in tattered fabric to hide weakness. "I volunteer," she said. "I will work in your settlement. My sister will remain under my care. Please feed her." The humans paused, assessing her. Some murmured disapproval, others curiosity. They had seen alien refugees volunteer before, but Sela's resolve was unmistakable. Within hours, arrangements were made. Nira was assigned a small dwelling within the enclave, while Sela was escorted to the human settlement, her fate uncertain. The transition was brutal. Sela was trained in labor that pushed her alien physiology to its limits. Her dexterous limbs, once capable of delicate tasks in their native environment, were now forced to operate machinery designed for humans. The work was exhausting, the hours long, and the humans' expectations unyielding. Yet, each day she endured it, knowing that Nira would eat, would live, and perhaps, in time, thrive. Nira, for her part, was overwhelmed with guilt and sorrow. She watched her sister disappear each morning, returning only at night with signs of exhaustion, but also with rations of food. The sight of Sela's gaunt frame, her violet scales dulled from lack of rest, filled Nira with helpless grief. "I can do something," she whispered one evening. "I can help." But Sela shook her head. "You are too small, Nira. You must grow strong. Eat, survive, and learn. That is your task." Months passed. Nira began to adapt to the human-controlled colony, learning to forage for scraps, manipulate the ration dispensers, and even communicate more fluently in the human language. Her strength grew, and she marveled at the survival strategies her sister had taught her in whispered lessons. Sela, meanwhile, became a shadow within the human settlement, a worker, a servant, and in some ways, a prisoner of circumstance. She endured indignities and harsh conditions without complaint, her mind always with Nira. One evening, a violent dust storm swept through Arinder, 7. The refugee enclave shuddered under the gale, and many shelters were damaged. Nira, now older and stronger, braved the storm to rescue infants and the elderly, her sister's lessons guiding every movement. She remembered Sela's sacrifices vividly. Every strategy, every warning, every act of courage. By the time the storm passed, Nira had saved lives and rebuilt portions of the camp. When the administrators learned of her efforts, they took notice. Nira was rewarded with extended rations, medical care, and a small place of authority within the Enclave. But she refused comfort alone. She sent word to Sela, demanding that she be recognized, that her sacrifices be acknowledged. Sela returned to the Enclave months later, her servitude finally completed. She was thinner, older, and scarred, but her spirit remained intact. Nira ran to her, tears streaming down her face, gripping her sister's hands with desperation and relief. "You did it," Nira said, trembling.
"You saved me."
"You lived for me." Sela smiled, faint but genuine.
"No, Nira."
"We did it together. You learned to survive. I only cleared the path." Their reunion was bittersweet. Sela's time among humans had left marks on her soul. She had witnessed cruelty, compassion, greed, and unexpected kindness. She had learned how fragile alien life could be in human-controlled systems and how resilience, intelligence, and sacrifice could bend circumstances to survival. The sisters spent the next years rebuilding their lives. Nira matured into a capable leader within the Enclave, her intellect sharp, her body resilient, and her heart tempered by the hardships she had endured. Sela remained by her side, mentoring her sister, teaching others, and slowly reclaiming the aspects of life that had been taken by necessity. Together, they transformed the refugee enclave. Food scarcity became manageable through ingenious farming techniques, trade negotiations with human settlers improved, and other alien refugees found guidance and protection under their leadership. Sela's sacrifice had planted the seeds of a thriving community, demonstrating the strength of family, loyalty, and unyielding determination. Years later, visitors from distant colonies would come to hear their story of two alien sisters who faced starvation, fear, and the indifference of a harsh universe. One had sacrificed herself, enduring suffering and servitude to ensure the survival of the other. The younger sister, nurtured by care and courage, had grown into a beacon of resilience. Alien girl begged for food, storytellers would say, and her older sister sacrificed herself to survive among humans. But from that sacrifice grew hope, leadership, and a future none could have imagined. In quiet moments, Sela reflected on her choice. It had been painful, isolating, and often terrifying, but it had been necessary. Survival demanded sacrifice, and love demanded courage. She had given herself so that her sister could live, and in doing so, had discovered the depth of her own strength, resilience, and humanity, even in an alien form. And Nira, who had once cried in hunger, now walked with confidence and purpose, forever carrying the memory of the sister who had chosen her life over her own, a reminder that sacrifice, compassion, and determination could shape the destiny of worlds.